So, could Guilliman, the so called saviour of the Imperium, actually be made to look like one of the biggest heretics of the Imperium? Because what Guilliman did is something that Horus never even did. So in today's video, we're going to jump into that and we're going to talk about it. But before I do that, I just want to let people know that this video will contain Godblight spoilers. Godblight is the latest book in the Plague Ward series. So if you haven't read that, if you're currently reading it, then please leave the video right now. This is the first and only warning. So what crime did Guilliman commit in the eyes of the Imperium that would label him as a heretic? Well, basically, he started his own Imperium while the Imperium was still running. Back during the Horus Heresy, warp storms cut off the realm of Ultramar. The 500 worlds were cut off. They were dealing with Wordbearers, World Eaters, Angron, Lorgar, all the full chaosy things that were going on in that part of the sector, and they lost the Astronomicon. They could no longer navigate with the single of the Astronomicon. So Guilliman thought to himself that Horus was successful in overthrowing the Imperium, overthrowing the Emperor. He had wiped out Terra, he had wiped out his fellow loyalist brothers, but in reality, it's just the warp storms that were blocking the signal. So what Guilliman did, he was preparing to take on Horus and his heretical kin by setting up his own Imperium. Now, Guilliman couldn't do this on his own. He had to seek help, and he actually got help from a couple of his brothers. That is Sanguinius and Lion L. Johnson. After the disaster of Cygnus Prime, the Blood Angels ended up at Ultramar. There, Guilliman crowned Sanguinius the Emperor of the Imperium Secundus. He was the official emperor. Guilliman was in the back. He was going to be doing all the notes, all the speeches, the tax forms, anything you can think of like a statesman should do, Guilliman was doing. The Lion turned up, and Guilliman then made him like the head of the army. He was like the sword that would hit things. Guilliman's in the background making the speeches, like I said, and Sanguinius is sat on the throne looking all godly. Now, the Imperium Secundus is a very eventful storyline. I'm just going to summarize it in this video. Basically, you have Conrad Kurz unleashed on Macragge. He's doing like all Batman things, you know, from the shadows, fighting people. He fights the Lion, he fights Guilliman, he even fights Sanguinius. You have the Night Lords that attack this planet in the realm of Ultramar that hold something called the Pharos Beacon. The Pharos Beacon is this ancient technology rumored to be Necron. I think it actually is confirmed to be Necron tech, but what it could do, it could teleport anything or anyone anywhere in the galaxy if you think hard enough. The Night Lords tried to attack this. If I recall correctly, please tell me if I'm wrong, the Imperium themselves blow it up so it can't fall into the wrong hands. But what they do when they blow it up, there's a face in the darkness that turns towards our galaxy, because it's just like this massive explosion, kind of like, I don't know, like a psychic kind of explosion, let's say. This face turns towards our galaxy, and it's hinted that that is actually the Tyranids. So if that is true, again, the debates are still there. If that is true, we can technically blame the Imperium Secundus for bringing the Tyranid threat to our galaxy. At the end of it, we learn, of course, that Terra still stands, and Guilliman, the Lion, and Sanguinius ready their fleets, ready their troops, ready their sons, and they set off to try and get to Terra, to try and defend the homeworld. We all know that Sanguinius, of course, is the fleet that arrives. With his arrival, he then defends Terra. Guilliman and the Lion are doing their own thing. We know now in the Siege of Terra series that Guilliman is amassing a huge force of loyalists, and they are on the way. This is what is set up now in the Siege of Terra. It's just waiting out for Guilliman to arrive with this huge fleet. Anyway, what about the Imperium Secundus? Well, your guess is as good as mine, because during the Horus Heresy, we never really heard anything from it again. It was kind of swept under the rug, like, you know, look away, boys, this never happened, don't tell anyone, we made a mistake. Now, fast forward 10,000 years, where we are now in the current storyline, especially in Godblight, we have the Imperium Secundus revealed once again, because we have this character called Fabian, and Fabian is a historitor. A Historitor is a new rank made by Roboute Guilliman. He's there to record everything that goes on during the Indominus Crusade, try and piece history of the Imperium back together, because over the past 10,000 years, there's a lot of stuff that has been missed, deleted, set on fire by the Inquisition. It's their job to try and piece it all back together, kind of like a remembrancer during the Great Crusade. Now, Fabian is based on Macragge, and Macragge actually is under attack by the Death Guard and some demons, everything you expect with Death Guard. Now, there is a certain demon that leads Fabian to the part of the library which is forbidden. The demon knows what he's doing, but Fabian's like, where's this thing leading me? So he's following him, and he ends up coming across a book, and the name of the book is called The Reign of the Emperor Sanguinius, a history. Now, Fabian knows he's not supposed to have this book because it's in a naughty, naughty place, so he smuggles the book out of the library, and he actually intends to uncover the secrets and truths in that book. So I'm hoping we actually finally see some of the consequences now for Guilliman setting up the Imperium Secundus, because if Fabian does his job, and his job is to uncover the past, to inform people of the Imperium's history, and he reveals about the Imperium Secundus and Guilliman setting up his own Imperium, I'm sure a lot of people are going to start looking at Guilliman with not so good intentions. They'll probably see him as a hypocrite. How can this guy, lecture to me, tell me to do what is good for the Imperium when he never came to the Emperor's aid? He actually waited back and set up his own Imperium to look after his own interests. I'm sure it's got to cause a lot of drama and a lot of political drama in that fear of the higher ups, like the High Lords and the higher associations like the Church and the Inquisition and stuff like that. Now, I must add that I don't think Guilliman did anything wrong. He actually thought the Imperium had fallen. That's why he set up his own empire. He couldn't navigate towards the Astronomicon because he thought Terra was dead. He thought Horus had took over, Chaos had won in that bit. So he was setting up his forces. So I actually see it from Guilliman's point. He was doing the best he could to try and fight on in the Imperium's name and set up this new Imperium to keep it fighting for as long as possible. But we all know that there's certain elements in the Imperial structure now that won't see it that way. They'll see him as a heretic. They'll see him as a betrayer. He betrayed his father. He never came to his aid. He's just as bad as Horus. He's just as bad as his traitor kin. This is what he's probably going to be going up against now. Whatever happens, I'm sure it's got to be entertaining. I don't think they would put this subplot in there if they didn't plan to go any further with it. So I definitely think that this will get out and Guilliman will have to deal with his consequences of setting up the Imperium Secundus. And whatever happens, I'm sure it's got to be a fun ride. If the Inquisition's got to turn on him, if the Faith has got to turn on him, even if the own Space Marines turn up on him, or these closest advisors turn on him, I'm sure it's going to be a fun time and it's going to be a good read. Of course, I would love to get your thoughts and feedback on this. What do you think about it? Did Guilliman do the right thing? Did he do the bad thing? Do you think he should burn for his crimes? Do you think he should be let off? He was, as I stated, the Astronomicon was dead. He thought everyone else was dead, and he was just trying to save the Imperium the best he could. Post it down below, and we can have a nice little talk in the comment section, as we always do. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching this video. See you now. Have a great day, and bye-bye.